Just a passenger. A thriller story featuring Alina Smith. The moment my brother Marcus said it, I let it go. That was the first mistake, mine and his. We were somewhere over the Atlantic, cruising at 34,000 feet, turbulence gentle enough that the flight attendants were still moving through the aisle with their silver carts and practiced smiles. I had my eyes closed, not sleeping, never sleeping on flights, just listening. Old habit. You learn to read an aircraft the way you read a person. The rhythm of the engines, the subtle shift in cabin pressure, the way the air changes before something goes wrong. Marcus had been talking for 20 minutes straight, about his promotion, his corner office, his new Tesla, his wife's charity gala. I nodded at the right moments, made the right sounds, the way you do when someone important to you has become someone you no longer recognize. Then he looked at me, really looked at me, the way he used to when we were kids, and he wanted to make sure his words would land, and he said it. You know, Alina, some people are born to lead, and some people are just passengers. He smiled when he said it, warm, genuine, like it was a compliment wrapped in silk. I picked up my sparkling water, took a slow sip, set it back down. You're probably right, I said. And I went back to listening to the engines. 14 minutes later, the left engine died. It didn't announce itself dramatically. No explosion, no Hollywood fireball, just a sound, a deep mechanical cough that most passengers wouldn't even register. A slight asymmetrical pull in the airframe. A change in the vibration frequency beneath my feet that I felt in my molars before I consciously understood what it meant. Marcus grabbed his armrest. Was that? Yes, I said quietly. The cabin lights flickered once. 2 rows ahead, a child started crying. The seatbelt sign illuminated with a soft chime, and the captain's voice came through the speakers, controlled, professional, that particular brand of pilot calm specifically designed to stop 300 people from losing their minds simultaneously. Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a minor mechanical issue. Please return to your seats and fasten your seatbelts. We have the situation fully under control. Marcus turned to me, face already pale. What does that mean? Is that serious? I was already unbuckling my seatbelt. What happened next took 11 seconds. A flight attendant appeared at my elbow, young, composed, but with eyes that told a different story. She leaned down close, her voice barely above a breath. Ms. Smith, the captain is asking, are you the passenger in 9C? Call sign Spectre. Marcus froze beside me. I looked at the attendant evenly. Tell him I'm on my way. Alina, Marcus grabbed my wrist. What is happening right now? I gently removed his hand, stood up, smoothed my blazer. Sit down, I said. Fasten your belt, don't touch anything. I walked forward through the cabin. Around me, passengers were beginning to feel what I had felt 14 minutes ago, that low, creeping awareness that something in the atmosphere had shifted. A woman clutched her rosary. A businessman stared at his laptop screen, unseeing. A little girl pressed her forehead to the window and watched the clouds. The flight attendant knocked twice on the cockpit door. 1 pause, 2 rapid knocks, the door opened. Captain Dan Visser was exactly what a man should look like when everything is going wrong. Steady hands, tight jaw, eyes that had accepted the situation and moved immediately into solving it. Beside him, his first officer was working through a rapid checklist, fingers flying across the overhead panel. Visser glanced back at me, just once. Something shifted in his expression, not relief exactly, recognition. Spectre, he said, just that. What do you have? I said, stepping in and pulling the jump seat down. Left engine flame out, cause undetermined. We've attempted restart twice, no ignition. Right engine compensating, but we're losing altitude at a rate that gives us approximately 19 minutes before we need to commit to an emergency landing. Closest suitable runway is Amsterdam Schiphol. Problem, he pulled up the frequency panel. We've lost primary comms. Backup is partially functional, but the Dutch ATC controller on duty isn't reading our emergency squawk correctly. We need someone to talk to him. In Dutch, his first officer added without looking up. I heard him, I said. I reached forward, took the secondary radio handset, adjusted the frequency by 3 decimal points, a small correction but the right one, pressed transmit. And I spoke. 3 sentences, precise, technical, calm as winter water. The first sentence identified us, our emergency status, and our exact GPS coordinates using the Dutch military aviation protocol. The one that bypasses standard civilian ATC procedure and goes directly to the emergency coordination desk. The second sentence communicated our descent rate, our fuel state, and our required runway length in the compressed numerical shorthand that Dutch controllers are trained to decode in under 4 seconds. The third sentence was a single authorization code, 12 digits, spoken in a cadence that no one generates by accident, that told the controller on the other end exactly who was making this call, and why he needed to clear Skiffel's runway 18R of every other aircraft in the next 8 minutes, without asking a single question. There was a pause of perhaps 2 seconds. Then the Dutch controller's voice came through, sharp and immediate, all hesitation gone. Bevestigd runway 18R is cleared. Emergency services activated. You are priority 1. Welcome home, Spectre. I set the handset down. Visser exhaled, the quiet kind, the kind that costs a man something to release. Single engine approach, I said. Your ILS for 18R will be clean. Come in slightly high on the glide slope, you'll want the extra energy with asymmetric thrust. You know this. I know this, he agreed. I stood, then you don't need me anymore. I walked back through the cabin. Around me the mood had shifted, still tense, still frightened, but differently. The captain had come back on the intercom. His voice was steadier now, carrying something that passengers could feel even if they couldn't name it. Authority restored, a plan in motion, the specific gravity of someone who knows exactly what they are doing. I slid back into seat. Marcus was staring at me. His face had moved through several countries since I'd left, confusion, fear, something approaching awe, and had arrived, finally, at a place I didn't have a word for. Elena, he said, and then stopped, because there was nothing after that. He was a man who had built his entire identity on knowing the right thing to say, and for the first time in perhaps his entire adult life, he had run out of words completely. I looked out the window. Below us, through breaks in the cloud, I could see the dark glitter of the North Sea. Closer now, we were descending on schedule. You should eat something, I said. They usually don't finish the service during an emergency landing. Who are you? He whispered. I turned and looked at my brother. My little brother, who used to be afraid of thunderstorms, who I once carried on my back for 2 miles through a forest because he'd twisted his ankle and was too proud to cry. My brother, who had become someone who measured people by their titles and their corner offices and their Teslas, and had looked at me, his sister, and seen nothing worth seeing. I smiled at him, gentle, genuine. I'm your sister, I said. I've always been your sister. I turned back to the window. But I was never just a passenger. We touched down on runway 18R at Schiphol Airport 11 minutes later. Smooth, controlled. 1 engine, 2 pilots and 3 sentences spoken in Dutch that had held 200 lives together like a thread of steel wrapped in silk. The cabin erupted. Applause, tears, laughter, the specific collective exhale of 300 people who had just remembered all at once how much they wanted to live. Marcus didn't applaud. He sat very still, the way people sit when something inside them is quietly rearranging itself into a new shape. One they don't have a name for yet, but can already feel is truer than the old one. I let him sit with it. Outside, the emergency vehicles lined the runway in a long orange arc. Flashing lights, organized chaos, the beautiful machinery of people who had received a message in time and moved. My phone buzzed once as we taxied to the gate. A single message from a number that wasn't saved in any contact list. Good work, Spectre, debrief Monday, see. I deleted the message, closed my eyes, finally let myself breathe. Somewhere above the clouds, the sun was still shining. It always was if you got high enough. Marcus reached over slowly and covered my hand with his. He didn't say anything, neither did I. Some things don't need words. Some things only need 34,000 feet, a dead engine, and the right person sitting in row 9.